I'm not sure exactly when the prepper movement started, but I do know that it's gaining. This is a group of people that are very devoted to being hyper-prepared. They're being prepared for doomsday scenarios or extinction events.
It goes from Boston, Connecticut, Long Island.
Most people are not prepared for disasters. A lot of people like to think they are. There's so much to prepping. It's not just having food, it's having a mindset.
You have to realize that people are not going to come take care of you. You really have to be able to take care of yourself.
After the apocalypse, most of the people you love are gone. Most of your friends are gone. Everything you love to eat are gone. It's like the beginning of mankind all over again.
Okay, YouTubers, this is the Angry Prepper. Today's video is episode 1 on the Bug Out series.
I got into prepping years ago, and there was a book I read called 1 Second After. And in this book, an EMP goes off, electromagnetic pulse, which sends the United States back into the Dark Ages. At the end of the book, there's a mentioning by Newt Gingrich on how this is a possibility. Terrorists are aware of it. It was pretty much a green light for me to start prepping. You crank this for as long as you can. People that are preppers are everyone and anyone. You know, you could be from any walk of life.
You know, Jason's a fireman. You have one woman she's an attorney. I work for a high-tech company. My wife's a university professor.
You know, people think that this group is hard up, tinfoil wearing, conspiracy theories. No.
Watch a documentary on Katrina. Look at something about Sandy. Look at the, years afterward. Look at Puerto Rico right now.
No power, no electricity.
I was there for 9/11.
The crime is out of control.
The system will be overwhelmed.
The U.S. is one of the top 5 countries in the world in terms of the number and severity of disaster events. It's because of our location on the globe. We have a lot of coastal regions, and we have a large population, so we're vulnerable to earthquakes and volcanoes. We have wildfires, we have storm surge, hurricanes, cyclone-like events, flooding, landslides, mudslides. We have it all, so we are definitely at risk. There have been studies looking at how prepared the U.S. population is, and less than 50% has even the bare minimal requirements. People don't want to think about it.
The water just came in last night. There's people in there just waiting to get help. And it's horrible to be in that situation where you can't do anything and you're just waiting.
Some people think having a flashlight and a can of beans is it. It isn't. Constitutes a good light show and, a bad night of gas. You prep enough, you're going to make it through that disaster. The roundabout number to start with is 30 days, and then move on to 60 days, then 90, then keep going a month at a time. I'm still at 1.5 years after next week when I go on my prepper blitz, which is just canned goods at a supermarket. I'll be at 1 year and 8-9 months.
We're in what's called the 6th extinction period. Right now, we are on schedule to lose at least half of the species on Earth by the end of the century. We've had 5 major extinctions in the past. One that many people are familiar with is the Permian extinction. That happened when we lost all the non-avian dinosaurs. That was about 60 million years ago. It's called the push-pulse theory of extinction. So there are presses on the ecosystem, and it could be climate change, it could be rising sea levels, it could be any number of things. But then there's an extinction pulse like Tambora, which was a huge volcano in the 1800s, and that led to the year without a summer. So some horrible mass event like a supervolcano could be the pulse that really decimates a large part of the population.
A doomsday scenario would be like a pandemic, and whatever disease that is taking hold of the country, once a certain number of people become infected, quarantine starts. Once quarantine starts, you're going to start seeing the breakdown in people coming to work. Once the law enforcement stop going to work, that's when the breakdown begins. Now you're talking about a free-for-all, every man for themselves kind of deal.
Unfortunately, the government is getting a lot of pressure to respond to different types of disaster events, and FEMA is getting stretched, really stretched. And now they've said, be prepared to be on your own for 72 hours. And if you're a healthcare facility, you should be prepared for 96. That's a lot of hours to be on your own without any help.
Look at all the disaster movies that come out and people flock to see them because we're obsessed with destruction.
I actually like watching those movies. I like watching them because I'm always curious to see how we get out of it, and we always do in those movies, right?
It's part of human nature that part of us likes the chaos and how we would fare with the chaos.
Aren't you a little bit curious to watch the world burn?
The psychology of it is just wanting to live, just wanting your family to live. That's what drives me. I don't want them to suffer from starvation, dehydration, medical. I want us to be able to thrive during that disaster.
So we've just come down into the Leilani Estates area and happened across this incredible scene. Lava creeping down the road.
I think the world has always been this dangerous. It's just there's more news media to report different things that are going on.
I have already evacuated everything. I just came down to say goodbye to my neighborhood one last time.
Definitely the speed with which news can travel, I think, is increasing the anxiety level. Some people are what we call catastrophists. Everything is going to be bad. But I don't think all preppers are like that. I think they genuinely want to control whatever they can control. These are people who feel things are getting scary. I think I can understand where it's coming from. Would I do it myself? No. First of all, I live in a New York City apartment. I couldn't possibly prepare for that. But I think it's kind of futile.
The antisocialness that is developing in us is going to be the danger for us. We need to be social, we need to communicate, people need one another to survive.
Inherently, we are very resilient. We are the dominant species. We didn't do it just by luck. We've been preparing for probably as long as we've been humans.